Hi, I'm April, and in this video I wanted to share my must-have sewing and DIY supplies for beginners. The first thing I must have is a pair of scissors. It doesn't have to be fabric scissors, it can be paper cutting scissors, any kind of scissors that will cut and do the job for you. When I first started, I used just regular paper cutting scissors. I didn't have fancy scissors like these or a rotary cutter. A rotary cutter is that pizza cutter looking thing I've used in some of my videos, if some of you guys were wondering. That's a rotary cutter, and you don't need all those fancy things when you're beginning. Any regular paper cutting scissors will work just fine. The next thing I really recommend is marking utensil, and this is just sidewalk chalk. And also, again, when I first started DIY and sewing, I needed something to mark my fabric so I knew where to cut, and I just found this sidewalk chalk in my little bro's room. I also have this chalk, and it's a lot thinner, and I use this to get I used to get more accurate measurements because of how thin it is. And if you don't want to use chalk on your fabric, you can always use some disappearing ink marker and Mark Be Gone. The next thing I recommend for beginners are sewing pins, because when sewing on a sewing machine and you're sewing two pieces of fabric together, it's really helpful to just hold the two pieces together. And the last thing I recommend is tape measure, because when you're making your own things, you always have to measure your waist or like how long you want something to be. I also use this for a straight edge, even though it's not it probably won't work as well for a straight edge, but I use it for everything when I'm measuring. Those are my must-have items for DIY and sewing. And I know I have a lot of beginners out there who are starting sewing and DIY. So that is what I started out with, and a sewing machine. So that is what I started out with these items like chalk and regular paper cutting scissors. You don't need the fancy stuff yet. Just use whatever you have at home. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. In another video, I want to explain how to sew and talk about my sewing machine and everything. So if you have any questions about sewing or my sewing machine, leave it down below in the comments and I might be able to answer you in my next video. Alright, I'll see you guys next time.